Hey friends, today I'm back with another Sketch the Met session, and I'm revisiting one of my favorite little guys from the Greek and Roman galleries. This is the terracotta statue of a dwarf from the Hellenistic period. I drew him from the front the other day, but this time I want to take a deeper look because the side and the back are very striking and perhaps even more interesting than the original front. So whereas before I was focused on his face, now I'm noticing on the back that you can actually see where there used to be little flecks of paint. So in order to find this, again, I just go back to the number. He lives under the very glamorous object number 2000.667.1, and on the label it's literally described as terracotta statuette of a dwarf, figure of a grotesque with fragmentary arms outstretched. The first time I drew him, again, I went and did the front, but today I'm gonna lean into the back because that's kind of where the personality of this guy really is. And again, I wasn't able to see that paint, but now that I'm really looking at the back, I can see where there was evidence of the paint, but I didn't really pick up on it, and you can see it clearly in the muscles in the back. So for materials, I think I'm going to pick up on gel sticks and mixed media paper. I'm not going to go into my Sketch the Met. Okay, so bear with me as I set up, get my reference image ready here for work together today. Okay. So I like the mixed media paper because it's toothy enough to grab this pigment, but still smooth enough that I can get some subtle transitions in the back and shoulders without fighting against that texture of the paper. So again, I'm going to use these King Artist mixed media gel sticks. They're kind of like gelatos. The tip of them is really thick and it's going to glide on smoothly. I'm going to do first a rough outline of a head. I mean, it's round. His head isn't round at all. Just to get the perspective on how big, how tall, just going to do a basic outline because I'm going in with this lighter color. I'm going to feel like I can go over it with another color and define it better. I'm going to go off the edge here for a second. Hold on. I'm getting the bottom of the foot. Okay. Back in frame. This is a really light block in. Again, it's just the overall silhouette of the guy from the back. I'm thinking in big shapes, almost like a little compressed cylinder for the torso, smaller oval for now for the head, and then you can see the curvature in the spine, how he sort of goes over to the side. I've got the evidence of what was once the arms outstretched. Obviously that's broken off. And so you're suggesting that openness of the chest by having these shoulder blades that are really close together touching. And then as I go back up towards the head, I'm going to redefine that into something that's more in line with what he actually looks like. I'm taking away that just circle shape that I started out with. And already going through this with the silhouette, I can see that it is not right. I didn't really capture that angle of the back. It's more that way, which in a drawing, when I'm kind of working at this size, makes a huge difference. This statue is about 3 inches. Sorry, he is almost 4 inches tall, the actual statue. So when I'm drawing him like this, these little angles really make a difference when you're doing it about 8 inches tall. Going in a little bit shading with the exact same color. And let me see if I can see. This color is, they actually call this tan. And so it's sort of a buff off-white. It's about the lightest color that I have in this set of, I think 12, 20. I don't know how many I have. So I'm going to go in and do the shading. We're not leaving anything white here. The lightest color is going to be this color. So why am I shading with it? Well, just to sort of, again, feel it out, that I'm not going in really deeply with the color and committing to it. But again, this is a really quick sketch for me. I want to get this entire thing done in about 5 to 10 minutes. So next color is going to be a little darker. And that's my focus, is building it up. And then once I lay down this color, I think I'll try to blend it out either with the white color or go back in with that other buff color and sort of use it as maybe kind of like a blending stick. And really get those in. Okay. And then go back in maybe your third or fourth time with an even darker shadow color. Let's hit a little history on this guy. Just take a pause for a second and talk about who he might have been historically. So the Met dates him to the 2nd century BCE. That is the Hellenistic period, and they're labeling him as Greek. So we know that the Hellenistic period, they did these terracotta grotesques, especially these little people that show up a lot in this period. It would have been probably like a mold-made figure. It was brightly colored, and some of the scholars connect him and these figures to popular entertainment. So maybe they were dancers, they were street performers, they were performing in some way, or even some sort of a character tied to a festival to celebrate the gods, like Dionysus, the god of wine. And there is a debate about how to read this. So some people might say that they reflect a real medical condition, and they are really showing somebody with achondroplastic dwarfism, while others will emphasize that it is just a figure made sort of in that likeness, and emphasized that it was more about their role as a comic stock figure, that it really wasn't representative of something that audiences would have been making fun of or laughing at. So for us, looking at him in a museum, he's this little tiny but intense presence. In his own time, he might have been part of a small group of figures, maybe with a shrine to a god, or maybe it was just some little edgy decoration in a larger home or setting. Now I'm moving into another color. So I moved in with the green, and then I'm going back in with a blue to really tie in the shadows. Why am I doing this? First, I'm kind of tying it back into that whole idea of not knowing that it was originally painted when I drew it the first time. And when I did it in my sketchbook, what day was that? That was my January 30th drawing of this year. It was all in terracotta hues. So going back in this time with the blues and the greens, I'm just adding a little bit more dimension. I don't want to think of colors that he might have actually been painted. and make guesses, but I can bring a little bit more color into it by using a complement. So if I'm doing them in oranges, red oranges of the terracotta, I can complement that with the opposite color, which would be more of a green, but since he's kind of more reading yellowy to me, the complement of that is blue. So I'm going to go all in on the background here. These gel sticks are just, remember, so fun. It's gliding along. And I'm just honestly going to really make him pop with those yellows and golds against a bright, bright blue background. Maybe I could add a couple little color accents on his shoulder or his head just to, show a little bit of hair. When I finish here, I'm going to grab my color wheel, which I think is always a good idea to keep a color wheel nearby. Sometimes you think, oh, I know all that, I know colors, or maybe you're saying, I don't know colors at all. Grab a color wheel. They're fairly inexpensive and it's easy to see. This one's clearly labeled. What's complementary is straight across with the arrows. So if you're doing a drawing in a lot of greens, then add some red. But using the complement or split complementary colors when depicting shadows is just a really dynamic and easy way to show it. All right, thank you again. I love when you come and sketch along with me. Thanks for hanging out with me and this little ancient performer. And I will see you on the next Sketch the Met.